clarify one thing you just said, which is Rob and I did not give Bronny anything. Bronny has earned this.
Kick. Bronny James. Off.
Bronny has earned this.
Bronny James starting in the NBA and LeBron's assigned to the G League. That's awesome.
What happens when nepotism meets professional basketball? You get Bronny James, a player who can't shoot, can't defend, and can't run an offense, yet somehow has a guaranteed roster spot on an NBA team.
James, before the shot clock expires.
Shogun to the wing to Shireman.
Bronny James put that in the perfect spot.
Lofton goes up. Norris.
Over 60 competitive games spanning college and the pros, this guy has proven one thing consistently. He doesn't belong on an NBA court. This is the story of the most coddled player in league history, and why his presence on the Lakers roster is a slap in the face to every undrafted player who actually earned their shot.
Curious and anxious to see how we do against this offense with these two players in Reeves and Doncic playing the way.
Dalton connect. Bronny James lines it up. Michael Ray. Magic Johnson said, boy, he played like me.
Austin Reeves and Luka, what was done to them, but that's where...
Let's start at the beginning because the warning signs were flashing bright red from day one. At USC, Bronny James averaged a measly 5 points per game on 37% shooting from the field. From three-point range, below 30%. These aren't NBA prospect numbers. These aren't even good college numbers. If you said Bronny back then wasn't an NBA player, if you pumped the brakes on him entering the draft, you were called a hater. But the numbers don't lie. This guy was absolutely abysmal in college. Yet somehow the narrative was that he just needed time, just needed development, just needed the right opportunity. Fast forward to Summer League and Bronny was a fish out of water, airballing left and right. But for the quote-unquote haters, we weren't allowed to say anything.
College here in the States at Utah State. James, before the shot clock expires, and he airballs it.
To the corner to Shogun. He lets it rip.
He's hit a few threes. Corner, James, air ball.
He hit a few corner threes and suddenly the entire media machine acted like he'd arrived. Now ask yourself this question. Why are certain media outlets and certain fans so invested in Bronny James, so invested in defending him despite his play being piss poor? Well, the answer is quite simple. His dad is LeBron James. To these LeBron fans, Bronny James is an extension of his dad, and much like LeBron James in their eyes, Bronny James can do no wrong. He goes 1 for 12, it's the rim's fault. He has 5 turnovers, blame the teammates. He gets no minutes, blame JJ Redick. The scouting reports on Bronny James called him a 3-and-D player, a defensive menace, a knockdown shooter. Those were supposedly his 2 best traits. But look at this guy as a shooter. He's never shot the ball well at any competitive level, ever.
Back to James, 5 on the shot clock. Got to do something, Rook. 2 seconds. Down the lane, the layup, no.
Against LeBron James. First transferred, reclassified. He went down from 300 pounds to 235 pounds.
Back in college, 37% from the field, below 30% from 3. In the 2024 preseason, below 30% shooting, 8% from deep. The actual 2024 season, 31% shooting, 20% from 3. And so far in the 2025 preseason, an abysmal 16.7% shooting, and from 3, only 18.2%. Let that sink in. Bronny James at every single level, college, preseason, the actual NBA season, has been an abysmal shooter who couldn't put a beach ball in the ocean. At some point, you can't deny the facts. The sample size is a very hefty 60 games. The way Bronny James plays, chucking so many threes, you'd think he's prime Klay Thompson. In reality, he's a glorified Ben Simmons. The great part about Bronny James being in year 2 is he's not only getting more opportunity, but he's exposing himself. Game by game, his first 2 preseason games in 2025 were absolutely abysmal, and 5 steps back from his play even last year.
You guys saw how tall I was and asked me if I wanted to play basketball when I was 17.
Connect. Bronny James.
From the outside.
Connect, stops. Oh, Bronny's open for 3.
Damn!
Looking at this guy's shot is still broken. His overall impact is a net negative. Now Bronny being a brick, that's nothing new. We understand that. But if you're the Lakers coach, what's more concerning? Bronny being a brick, or on defense, this guy being absolutely lost? Bronny James defensively really has no strength. As much as his offensive game, he's a fish out of water. And here's the worst thing, if you're someone like Bronny fighting for a roster spot, what's one thing you must do as a bench player? Hustle and play hard, have urgency. Bronny in these games looks aloof and checked out. When you watch his defensive miscues, they're all effort plays, results of not being fully engaged. When it comes to getting back on defense, Bronny routinely jogs at half speed while his guy runs past him and beats him down the floor. That right there isn't a skill or talent issue. That's a hustle issue and a want issue.
Butler throws it inside. Hill this time finishes it off.
And the thing, Richard, to your point, you talk about no discernible drop-off, like in just in terms of his level of production. What I find player, it's so tough. Steve Kerr, again, another guy that he just really glowingly talks about.
Payton inside.
Now looking at Bronny so far in these two 2025 preseason games, the excuse of he needs more minutes, needs more time, is officially over. Bronny had two massive opportunities and he completely squandered them. Out of LA's 14-man roster in minutes played, Bronny ranked second in field goal attempts, also second in three-point attempts. He ranked second. That right there for Bronny is a massive opportunity. And what did he do with it? Scoring average ranked 9th on the team. Field goal percentage 14th, three-point percentage 10th, and turnovers the most on the team. You suck. Bronny so far in two preseason games has a combined 3 made field goals with 7 turnovers. If you're a small guard who can't shoot and can't play defense, the one thing you have to do is take care of the ball. For Bronny James, he can't even do that. Unlike a lot of second-round picks and undrafted players, Bronny James is allowed to fail over and over and over again. For the vast majority of these guys, especially guards, their leash is very, very small. For Bronny James, he's allowed to do anything and still not get cut. And in my view, that's a big time problem. If Bronny's spot on the roster was so safe, so intact, you know, he might try harder, it might light a fire, but why would he? There's no consequences for failure. Put yourself in a coach's shoes. Look at Bronny James. What's his value to the team? Can he play defense? No. Can he shoot? No. Can he run an offense? Of course not. This guy's only value comes from the front office and social media. Bronny James last year was good for jersey sales and social media interactions. If this guy hits one shot, it'll go viral, go everywhere, get tons of clicks. Besides that, Bronny has absolutely no value.
Went straight up. That was good defense by
Bronny, pocket picked.
Bronny James turns it over.
When you see someone like Bronny James being so bad, so out of place, not deserving his position, in some respects you feel bad for him, but at the same time not really. This guy knew he wasn't an NBA prospect, he knew he wasn't NBA ready, and what did he do? Declared for the draft because daddy said so. Looking at LA's preseason roster, one guy who was undrafted this year was rookie RJ Davis. RJ in college played a full college career and grinded for everything he got. Now, unlike Bronny James, RJ Davis is actually a good player deserving of his spot. Looking at his first 2 preseason games, 12.5 points, 60% shooting, 50% from deep, and from the free throw line, he was perfect.
It was perfect. Perfect. Everything, down to the last minute details.
Some might say it's only 2 games, a very small sample size, and I agree. But looking at someone like Bronny, he's never had 2 back-to-back games like RJ Davis in his first 2 games in the league. That speaks volumes. Someone like RJ, his path to the NBA was organic. He plays bad in these games, he might get cut. Bronny plays bad, what happens? Absolutely nothing. That's a damn shame. Last thing I want to highlight is last year's G League MVP, JD Davison, but you probably didn't know that. This guy Davison for the Celtics, in 3 total years has played a combined 35 NBA games. Back in 2022, he was picked number 53 in the second round, much like Bronny, who was picked 55. Now here's the difference. Someone like JD in the G League has been absolutely lights out phenomenal. Last year's MVP, he averaged 25 points, 8 assists, and 5 rebounds. So what does that show you? Even the best G League player, the MVP, when it comes to getting an NBA spot consistently, even those guys can rarely do it. And someone like JD is far better than Bronny James on both ends of the floor. For small guards in the NBA, they're a dime a dozen. The talent pool is incredibly deep. Past those 12-man rosters in the G League, overseas, and even in college, there are tons of guys every single year fighting for those spots. And looking at someone like Bronny, he's not fighting for anything. In his case, it's all guaranteed. The fundamental issue here isn't just that Bronny James is bad at basketball. Plenty of players wash out of the NBA every year. The issue is that Bronny James gets to stay despite being bad, while genuinely talented players get cut. Think about what message that sends. Work hard your entire life, dominate in college, win G League MVP, and you still might not get a real shot. But if your dad is LeBron James, you can shoot 16% from the field, turn the ball over 7 times in 2 games, and still have a guaranteed roster spot. That's not basketball, that's a publicity stunt. And the worst part, Bronny knows it too. You can see it in his body language, in his effort level, in the way he jogs back on defense while his man scores easy baskets. When there are no consequences for failure, why would you give maximum effort? If Bronny's spot on the roster wasn't guaranteed, if he actually had to earn his minutes like every other second round pick in NBA history, maybe, just maybe, he'd play with some urgency. Maybe he'd dive for loose balls, maybe he'd sprint back on defense, maybe he'd work on his shot until he could actually make one, but he doesn't have to, and so he doesn't. This isn't just about Bronny James, this is about what his presence represents for the integrity of the league. Every year, hundreds of players fight for 450 NBA roster spots. Most of them are more talented than Bronny, most of them work harder than Bronny, most of them want it more than Bronny, but they don't have LeBron James as their father, so they get cut while Bronny gets a 2-way contract. For small guards especially, the competition is brutal. You need to be elite at something, shooting, playmaking, defense, something. Bronny isn't elite at anything, he's not even good at anything. He's below average across the board, and yet he's taking up a roster spot that could go to someone who actually deserves it. Think about RJ Davis grinding through 4 years of college, going undrafted and having to prove himself every single day just to stay on the roster. Then think about Bronny, who declared after one terrible year at USC and immediately got drafted by his dad's team despite shooting 37% from the field. One of these paths is how the NBA is supposed to work. The other is a joke. Looking ahead, what happens next? Does Bronny magically develop a jump shot? Does he suddenly learn how to play defense? Does he develop the work ethic and urgency that's been missing his entire career? Probably not, because he doesn't have to. As long as LeBron is on the Lakers, Bronny's spot is safe. And even after LeBron retires, the Lakers will probably keep Bronny around for the marketing value, the jersey sales, the social media clicks. Meanwhile, guys like JD Davison, the actual G League MVP, will continue struggling to get meaningful NBA minutes. Guys like RJ Davis will have to be perfect just to stick on a roster. And Bronny James will keep getting chance after chance after chance, despite doing absolutely nothing to earn them. That's the reality of the modern NBA. Merit matters less than marketing, talent matters less than name recognition, and hard work matters less than who your father is. Bronny James has played 60 competitive games across college and the NBA. In those 60 games, he's proven beyond any doubt that he's not an NBA caliber player. He can't shoot 16.7% from the field in his latest preseason games. He can't defend, constantly lost on rotations and jogging back on defense. He can't run an offense, leading his team in turnovers despite limited minutes. But none of that matters because his last name is James. When it comes to Bronny James, the better part of the past 2 years, this guy's been the most coddled player in league history and the most undeserving. At every single turn, this dude hasn't earned what he's gotten. In college at USC, 5 points per game, 37% shooting, absolutely abysmal. In summer league, a fish out of water, airballing left and right. In the actual NBA season, 31% shooting, 20% from 3, and now in year 2, somehow even worse. If Bronny's spot on the roster was actually in jeopardy, maybe we see some fire, maybe we see some effort, maybe we see some improvement. But when everything is guaranteed, when there are no consequences for failure, why would he change? Bronny James is a disgrace to the NBA, not because he's not talented enough, but because he represents everything wrong with nepotism in professional sports. He's taking a roster spot from someone who earned it. He's getting opportunities that better players would kill for, and he's doing it all while playing with the urgency of someone who knows he can't get cut no matter how badly he performs. That's not basketball, that's a marketing campaign, and it's a damn shame.